The chapel was colder than winter ever dared to be. Not the fleeting chill that kissed skin and vanished, but the sort of cold that pressed inwards marrow deep, clinging to the bones as if it meant to stay forever. Every breath I drew condensed in the air and returned to me, reminding me of how alive I still was. When the one who should have been was not, I sat 2 rows from the back, deliberately unseen. I had long ago learned the value of invisibility, the way it gave space for observation, for survival. Ahead of me, the Calderon family, my daughter-in-law's brood. Her polished parents, her ever-primped sisters occupied the front pews as if they had purchased not just the seats, but the air itself. Their coats gleamed under the dim lights, their shoulders stiff with superiority, their whispers sharpened into daggers meant to cut without ever being acknowledged. It wasn't grief they performed, but spectacle. Theater. Their silence wasn't hollow with sorrow, it rang with self-preservation, reputation, calculation. And through it all, no one wept. Neither did I. My grief had long outgrown tears. It had calcified into something heavier, denser. A stone beneath my ribs that refused to shift even as I sat staring at the casket at the altar. A flawless shell polished to shine, while within it lay what remained of my son, though, truthfully, he had been gone years before this day. Adrian Calderon. My Adrian, the boy I had raised. The man I had watched fade. He had slipped away piece by piece, his silence growing until it was vast and impossible to cross. Birthdays reduced to curt text messages. Holidays to form emails signed with both names but written in her cadence, not his. The warmth I remembered, the curiosity in his eyes, had been replaced by something mechanical. His wife, Cassandra, rose to deliver the eulogy. She was immaculate, as always, every strand of her dark hair tucked in place. Her black dress tailored to perfection, her voice a polished instrument. She thanked colleagues, patrons, donors, the board members of the Calderon Foundation. A speech crafted not to grieve but to impress, as though it were destined for print. She did not mention him as a son. Not once as a father. My throat tightened. But I did not cry. I only stared at the blurred edges of the stained glass window behind her. Colors bleeding together, shapes dissolving. When the service ended, chairs scraped against stone, coats rustled, and the air filled with the relief of people eager to leave mourning behind. I lingered, slow to rise, wishing to dissolve into shadow. I was almost free when the doors opened again. A tall man in a gray coat walked in. He ignored the Calderons, ignored Cassandra, ignored all those eyes sharp with judgment. His path cut straight to me. Double quotes, Mrs. Hawthorne. I startled at the sound of my name. His voice was low, deliberate. I nodded. My name is Nathaniel Rourke. Your son asked me to be here. From his pocket he pulled a small black USB drive. He held it not like a piece of plastic but like something sacred. I froze. Memories surged through me with merciless clarity. Adrian at 5, clinging to my waist after his father's accident at the docks. His wide eyes demanding answers I could not give. Nights I had worked 2 jobs, hospice shifts and cleaning offices, to keep food on the table. Pancakes shaped into stars. Bedtime stories whispered by flashlight when the power had been cut. My grandmother's ring pawn so he could go to Yale. The pride. The distance. The silence. I thought I had been erased at the reception. I saw my grandson, Theo, standing awkwardly among adults too preoccupied to notice him. His small hands clutched a paper cup of lemonade, his face pale, fragile with grief. I crouched beside him. You holding up, sweetheart? He nodded, then leaned close, his voice a whisper. Daddy used to look at your pictures. I blinked. What pictures? The blue ones. From your gallery? My breath caught. I had never told Adrian about that gallery. I hadn't believed he even knew. Yet Theo's words confirmed it. My son had found it. Cherished it. Perhaps even wept over it. That evening, Nathaniel gathered us in a private room at the hotel. The Calderons arrayed like a board preparing to divide spoils. Cassandra sat rigid, her eyes glittering with the certainty of her control. I slipped into a chair near the door, invisible, bracing for whatever was to come. The lights dimmed. A projector flickered to life. And then Adrian appeared on screen. My heart stumbled. He was thinner, his face drawn, but his eyes were sharp, direct, unflinching. "If you're seeing this, I'm gone." "Mom, this is for you." The room shifted. Cassandra's chin lifted, her jaw set. The Calderons leaned forward. Predatory. Adrian exhaled, steadying himself. I let distance grow between us. "I believed lies I shouldn't have. I thought your silence meant neglect. It didn't. It was stolen. Cassandra intercepted your letters. She rerouted your emails. She made sure I never saw them. And I believed her." Gasps rippled. Cassandra's face stiffened. "I should have trusted my gut." Adrian's voice cut sharper. "I should have remembered who always showed up. Mom, you always loved me. And because of that, everything I have belongs to you." The room erupted. Cassandra shot to her feet, her protests spilling fast, desperate fraud. Lies. He was manipulated. But her voice could not erase the truth spoken by the man himself. Adrian's will was clear. His home, his investments, his manuscripts, and most of all, the Calderon Foundation for Young Artists and Coders would pass to me and one day to Theo, to Cassandra. A single check for $5,000 and a book titled How to Be Kind. The silence afterward was thick, suffocating. 2 days later, Nathaniel met me at a cafe. From his briefcase, he slid a leather-bound journal across the table. "Your son wanted you to have this." I opened it slowly. His handwriting spilled across the pages. Memories of me, of moments I thought forgotten, humming while making pancakes, sewing stars into his backpack, patching the world when it fell apart. Regrets, apologies, confessions of love. Tucked inside was a photo of one of my paintings, annotated in his hand, dusklight over Bramblewood. On the final page he had written, "They lied to me, but she always loved me." I see it now. I pressed the page to my chest. The ache shifted, not gone, but changed. He had seen me, after all. He had remembered. When I moved into Adrian's Beacon Hill home, I found one of my paintings framed on the wall, hung where sunlight touched it each morning. I opened the windows. I carried his vision forward, building the fellowship for artists he had dreamed of. Boardrooms, schools, foundations' eyes stood where he should have stood, steady, resolved. Months passed. One afternoon, an envelope arrived. Inside was a crayon drawing. Me with silver hair and a red scarf, holding hands with Adrian. Beneath it, Theo had written, "Grandma, Daddy would be proud. Love, Theo. I did not cry. I held the drawing until the paper grew warm in my hands. That weekend, I carried it to the cemetery, laid it at the base of Adrian's stone, and sat in the damp grass. "You saw me, son," I whispered, "and I see you now." The wind moved through the trees. Shadows stretched across the earth, not chasing, not suffocating, but walking beside me. For the first time in years, they felt like companions. And as I rose, I thought of something Adrian had once told me. The truth always finds a way forward, even if it's buried in silence. It was then that I realized the story wasn't over. Not by a long stretch. Cassandra's rage was not finished, her claws not yet sheathed. The Calderons would not surrender their power easily. And Nathaniel, this stranger who had appeared with my son's final words, knew more than he had yet revealed. The USB, the journal, the will, they were beginnings. Threads in a web I hadn't even begun to untangle. I walked away from the grave, knowing that my next steps would pull me deeper into the truth Adrian had left behind. And if you're reading this, if you've walked this far with me, you'll want to keep walking. There are secrets that bind us tighter than blood, betrayals that wound deeper than death. If you want to see how far they reach, don't look away. This story lives, it breathes, it demands to be seen. Stay with me. Subscribe to Shattered Bonds. You'll need to hear what comes next. The weeks after Adrian's funeral blurred into a haze of obligations and unearthed memories. Every drawer I opened in his Beacon Hill house revealed fragments of hymn notes, scrawled in margins of books. Photographs tucked into frames, receipts from places I never knew he'd visited. The walls breathed his absence, but they also carried his defiance. His refusal to let Cassandra and her family erase the parts of him that mattered. I had thought grief would weaken me, grind me down until there was nothing left. Instead, it sharpened me. Perhaps it was Adrian's voice lingering in my ears, his journal in my hands, Theo's crayon drawing folded into my purse. Or perhaps it was rage, the kind born of years stolen by lies. Cassandra's lies. But rage alone was not enough. She was clever, too clever. And power did not slip easily from the cauldron's grip. One evening, as I sorted through boxes in Adrian's study, Nathaniel appeared again. He carried himself with that same quiet composure, a man used to moving unnoticed through dangerous places. He set a thick folder on the desk between us. These, he said, are copies of communications. Intercepted emails. Letters that were redirected. Cassandra paid people to do this. I kept records. I stared at him. Why? Why would you involve yourself? His gaze didn't falter. Because your son asked me to. Long before his death, he suspected something was wrong. He couldn't prove it, but he trusted me to look deeper. My pulse quickened. And what did you find? That silence was manufactured. Years of your love erased, doctored into neglect. And more than that, he paused, his jaw tightening. There are accounts offshore. Money siphoned from the foundation. Cassandra and her family are preparing to challenge the will, not just to reclaim what they believe is theirs, but to bury the truth. A chill spread through me. And you? Nathaniel leaned closer, his voice dropping. I don't take sides in family wars, but I believe in truth. And Adrian believed in you. That's enough. I didn't trust him, not entirely, but his presence felt like a lifeline in waters designed to drown me. The first blow came a week later when a summons arrived. Cassandra was contesting the will. Her lawyers claimed Adrian had been coerced, manipulated while in fragile health. They painted me as the villain, a distant mother who had abandoned her son and reappeared only to claim his legacy. Their case was cruel, precise, designed to fracture me. The night before the hearing, I walked into Adrian's study. I pressed my palm to the spine of his journal, seeking steadiness. His words echoed. They lied to me, but she always loved me. I see it now. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Stand with me, Adrian." Just once more. The courtroom smelled of varnish and ambition. Cassandra entered draped in black silk, her face a perfect mask of widowhood. Her parents flanked her like generals, her lawyers stacked with evidence fabricated and twisted. She did not look at me. When my turn came, I rose slowly, my body trembling, but my voice steady. I spoke of the years of the pancake shaped into stars, of the letters that had vanished into silence. I told the truth, bare and unadorned. Then Nathaniel placed the USB into evidence. Adrian's face filled the courtroom, his voice steady even in death. "Mom, you always loved me. Because of that, everything I have belongs to you." The caldrons shifted uncomfortably. Cassandra's jaw tightened, her eyes burning with a fury she could not release. The judge's gavel struck. The will stood. It should have ended there. But I knew better. Cassandra was not the type to lose gracefully, and I was right. In the weeks that followed, subtle things began to happen. Anonymous calls in the night. Shadows lingering near the house. Rumors spread in the press, whispers of an unfit mother running a foundation she couldn't possibly understand. One evening, Theo came home from school shaken. "Grandma," he whispered, "Aunt Lila said you took everything from Mommy. She said Daddy hated you." My heart cracked, but I steadied myself. "Sweetheart, people sometimes say hurtful things when they're scared. But your daddy loved you. And he loved me. That's the truth." Theo's eyes searched mine, looking for something unshakable. I held him close until his breathing steadied. That night, I made a decision. If Cassandra wanted war, I would give her one, but not on her terms. Not through whispers and sabotage. I would fight with the one thing she couldn't counterfeit. Adrian's legacy, The foundation became my battlefield. I threw myself into the work, expanding its reach, creating programs Adrian had dreamed of, but never had the chance to launch. Scholarships for young coders, residencies for artists, partnerships with schools and neighborhoods long overlooked. Every success was a stone laid against Cassandra's wall of lies. Every child who smiled, every artist who thrived, was proof of Adrian's vision and of the love that had carried him even when silence had tried to sever us. But beneath the victories, a deeper current moved. Nathaniel uncovered more evidence, financial records showing Cassandra's embezzlement, communications tying her to blackmail. The pieces painted a picture not just of cruelty, but of corruption wide enough to topple the Calderon family's carefully constructed empire. The question was how far I was willing to go. One storm last evening, Nathaniel asked me plainly, "If you expose this, it won't just destroy Cassandra. It will ruin her family, reputations, businesses, lives. Are you prepared for that?" I stared into my cup of untouched tea. My reflection wavered on its surface. She stole my son from me. She buried my love under lies. If justice means ruin, then ruin is what must come. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. The reckoning came faster than I expected. A journalist one Nathaniel trusted published the documents. Headlines blazed. Calderon legacy shattered by fraud. Cassandra's empire crumbled overnight. Investors fled. Board members resigned. Her own parents distanced themselves. She was left exposed, stripped of the armor she had worn for so long, and still. She did not yield. The last time I saw her, she appeared at the cemetery. Rain slicked her hair against her face, her mascara bleeding. She stood before Adrian Stone, her hands clenched into fists. "You think you've won," she hissed. "But you don't understand. He was mine. Everything he became, everything he built it, was because of me." I stepped closer, my voice quiet but unflinching. "No, Cassandra. Everything he was, he carried long before you. His vision, his heart. You tried to erase it, but you couldn't. And now the world will remember him as he was, not as you tried to make him." Her eyes blazed with something between hatred and desperation. Then she turned and vanished into the storm. I never saw her again. Months passed. The foundation flourished. Theo grew into his father's shadow, curious and bright, carrying pieces of Adrian I had thought lost forever. One evening he came to me with a drawing. This time it wasn't crayon, but careful pencil strokes. It showed me standing before a group of children, holding a book in one hand, a brush in the other. Above me, in block letters, he had written, "Grandma builds the future." I pressed it to my heart, the way I had pressed his first drawing. And for the first time, the ache within me felt less like a stone and more like a root, something grounding, something living. Adrian had seen me. Theo saw me now, and I would not let that light fade. Stories like ours, the ones of betrayal, of silence, of truth clawing its way through shadows, are not easy to tell, but they are necessary. They remind us of the bonds we cannot sever, no matter how hard others try. And if you've walked with me this far, you know this story was never just mine. It was always ours. The kind of story you don't just hear once and forget you carry it. You pass it on, so don't turn away now. Subscribe to Shattered Bonds, because sometimes the only way to heal is to stare into the fractures and see what still shines through.